Give it a whiff if you want.
Ooh.
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 Ah. What's up, y'all? Scott.
Ryan.
Certified pedal nerd.
Certified chicharron.
So today, what we have in front of us is the JHS Unicorn version 1. They have version 2 out right now. I own version 1, so that's what we're working with. Going to be a bulb-driven photocell modulation pedal, is what they call it. It's a classic Univibe. Plain and simple, but it's got some cool stuff to it. We got volume, we have depth, rate, and ratio. So the ratio is kind of cool. What it does is it takes your tempo, what you've set, and will subdivide to quarter note, dotted eighth note, triple eighth note. So whatever tempo you set, you can kind of mess with it from there.
So what does that mean? You just like play a note and just like quarters like da 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 da.
Yeah, it's how it kind of, yeah, exactly. It's kind of how it.
So I'm a drummer. I'm playing in drummer terms. If you set it to the dotted quarter, was that it's like da 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 da.
Exactly.
Da,
so
da.
you set a certain speed, and then from there you can kind of dial in how the waveform subdivides. It's not going to be a definite, kind of like you hear in your roommate's bedroom, you know.
Yeah.
It'll subdivide with the speed you're at, and then on top of that, you also have a tap tempo. You know what that is?
No.
Okay, cool. I'll tell you.
Just in case, if you're tuning in as a beer nerd and not a pedal nerd, pretentious dickhead.
So tap tempo, essentially, so you see this pulsing light bulb here. You can click this pedal, it's what's called a momentary switch. You're not going to actually hear a physical like on a lot of pedals that are on the market. What you're going to hear is about that.
Softer.
A lot softer pedal, so it's
Yeah.
not actually going to be a mechanical click. It's going to hit a little lead on there that makes it a lot quieter, and you don't actually have to click mechanically to get your tempo. So I could go as fast. You like that sound?
That is smooth and buttery.
The light's going crazy. Essentially, within a few taps, you get your tempo that you want. It's not going to be a definite, like, hard hit, but the waveform and how it reacts, which I'll play here in a second, will show you. So that's kind of like what a tap tempo is. You really tap what tempo you want. It's fun. Hey, here's the information.
And they said this is also the founder of JHS was saying this is like the first pedal to do what exactly? It has this old school technology.
Yeah, it's as I said before, it's kind of over my head in the electronic world, but it's a bulb-driven photocell modulator.
Yeah, I remember the word photocell.
Photocell.
Damn.
So it's a particular part of technology that's in this pedal. I have no idea what it does.
Yeah, exactly. So like Tony Stark's dad invented this pedal.
It's true.
With that old school technology going on. He was saying this is a blend of old sound with modern stylings. More or
It
less.
is. So, like, comment below if I'm missing something here, please do. There's an internal bulb that is creating this effect. It's running electricity through this bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is assuming. Don't quote me on this.
Comment below, nerds.
Please, beer pedal nerds alike, they typically go hand in hand, so please let us know what we're doing wrong. This is a very old school way of doing a Univibe pedal. So like the Rotovibe by Dunlop, which I think Rotovibe was its own company back in the day, which is what Jimi Hendrix used on the Star Spangled Banner and all that good stuff. So that was his main effect, but it's actually like a wah-looking pedal. That's the Rotovibe.
Yeah.
It's kind of meant to emulate a spinning speaker, but it's like almost out of phase-y kind of sound. I think it even has an expression pedal on the side here for your speed or ratio.
I also want to add that I like the fact that there's this. It's gonna make you go from dry to wet. Pretty cool feature.
It is.
Just outside looking in.
We're gonna hear the pedal here. Let me get my crafty, good old Les Paul. This is my dry signal.
So it says wet on that knob right in the center. Is that
Oh.
still dry?
No, so the wet and dry, it's kind of interesting. I really don't know why they did it this way, but they labeled wet and dry. So I think the wet is more of the actual univibe swirling effect that we hear. Dry is the univibe swirly effect, yeah. Yep, so...
To me that sounds more wet, but I don't know.
It really does. It sounds a little more wet.
But the V2, it also compacted it more.
They did.
Right?
It is. It's a more pedal board
friendly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I'm learning.
He's learning. It's just so 60s. If I had to if I could, I just pour butter all over this pedal.
Yeah. Butter, cream soda. It's got some crispiness.
It does. It has some crispiness.
Butterscotch.
Yeah.
You just kind of want
to... Like it almost meld into it.
Yeah, it sounds like waves of butter. So that's the univibe setting. And I'll show you here. Here's the ratio. And now we're gonna mess with the speed a little bit. Put that all the way up. So you can mess with both of them.
Oh, sick.
Yep.
Man, that setting is when the LSD kicks in.
Yeah, exactly.
When the hardcore Hendrix drugs kick in.
I can't play more than that, otherwise I'll get sued. That's how copyright works, y'all. Going to wet, it's weird. If they put dry and wet, it just literally turns it into a vibrato pedal. It's just pitch vibrato.
It has a very serenade-y, is that a word? Serenade-y tone.
It has a serenade tone.
Very sexy tone.
Sure. It is, and yeah, so you have two options here. I really don't know why they put dry and wet when it's univibe and vibrato, but I get it. So,
you never want to use your vibrato too dry, right?
Never. You never want your vibrato
your univibe too dry.
You never know. So speaking of wet, what have you provided for us today?
The beer that I've provided hopefully matches this perfectly in that it is dry, yet it is also wet. And here it is. Bam! Alright. The beer I brought today is, I'm saying this right, Terrace Boulba. It's from Belgium. It's from Brasserie de la Senne in Brussels.
I'm sorry, what?
Brasserie de la Senne, or...
Can you say that more Texan?
Senne Brewery in Brussels.
Make sure you get a big old
Brussels.
Dadgum Brussels, and where they make the sprouts. It's a fairly new-ish brewery as opposed to other breweries in Brussels. It's a newish brewery as it was started in the early 2000s.
Lame.
Right?
Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. This is probably a really amazing beer.
It's this pedal is light-ish and sexy. It's not super heavy or too over the top.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing that I have about this. You say the pedal's sexy, but I don't find the image here super sexy.
I guess the story goes it's like this guy falls in love with this guy's daughter. Well, this guy is of a different religion or nationality. This story, it's very frowned upon, like it is in many of these kind of stories. This gal's father is killing him, looks like with a beer barrel, so that's pretty hardcore. Please comment in the comments if you know the story.
It almost sounds like, and I mean, I'm also a classical music nerd of some sort, not too much, but this almost sounds like it's basically like any opera. Like this could be a freaking opera.
Yeah, like
and a beer.
Don Giovanni.
Look, it says smear lap. I don't know what that means.
It means smear on your lap.
I'm gonna smear this on your lap. It's a Belgian pale ale. You know, a lot of the style's been brewed for a while. Just how it's kind of like an old school-ish style, just like this is an old school-ish pedal. I was thinking it's old school, but it also needs to have some slight modern stylings to it. And the fact that it's an extra hoppy.
Extra hop.
Extra hop.
Extra hop all about it.
That's the modern stylings part of it. As far as I know, they didn't use near as much hops as they use today. This isn't super hoppy. It's just more hoppy than you'd expect in a beer. This low in alcohol. It's 4.5%. Very sessionable.
Super crushable.
We say very crushable, as we say. But also, it's not like the cheapest beer, so crush a lot of them. Your wallet's gonna be fucked. Yeah, it's just if Belgium made a Pilsner, very crispy.
For those of you out there, I will say my beer of preference nowadays, where it used to be the super adjunct, crazy, amazing, barrel-aged, whatever beer, I freaking love Pilsners now. So I'm really excited to try this.
Yeah, I was thinking Pilsner for this pedal, but I saw this on the shelf and I was like, oh, that's something that's like kind of an old school style, but with just slightly a modern take on it. Being like more hops than normally would be like in this old school style.
So like super on point with this pedal.
Yeah.
I would say like, essentially. Yeah, like vintage feel, modern technology.
Yeah, so let's see how it tastes.
Let's do a little pour.
Hardcore pour.
Hardcore pour.
Boulba from Belgium. Brussels, Belgium. Think of it as a kind of a Belgian Pilsner in a way, but it's still an ale. It's not a lager. It's an ale.
Okay.
Look up the difference between ale and lager. It's mainly due to yeast, what kind of yeast you use. Some of you should know this by now.
Okay. Ooh, that's good. I really like that.
It's fairly dry, pretty dry and crispy. It's got good malt. Malt's there, but it quickly fades into being dry. Good carbonation, obviously, as you can see all these bubbles.
Yeah, it's got, as you saw from the beer pour, which I did very poorly.
Not like this.
So, that insanely horrible beer pour, this thing has way more carbonation than I thought was imaginable, and even pouring the rest of it at a normal rate, a normal way, it's still just foam, and that's awesome, because it releases a lot of the aromatics that you need from a beer.
Indeed.
So... Well, I get a lot of like fruitiness too from like the nose. Is that wrong to assume?
No, I think that's akin to it being a Belgian beer, and the kind of ale yeast they have in Belgium, which is typically more fruity, got more spice. Still,
and everything nice.
And everything, everything bad. No, it's got a lot of good attributes in usual Belgian yeast, but this is a little bit more subdued than your typical Belgian beer. In terms of the fruity and spiciness.
It really is. Like I know the difference between lager and ale, which, it really has to do with how the yeast ferment at different temperatures.
Yeah, both brewing yeast, but they're different species. Ale prefers fermenting warmer. Lager yeast prefers fermenting cooler. So basically, ale yeast around 70 degrees, lager yeast around 50 degrees. This is an ale. You can definitely taste that in terms of it being a little bit more fruity.
In terms of it?
In terms of it, yeah, by its fermentation. And should mention that the extra hoppiness, it does have some extra hoppiness, and must have jacked this up with a bunch of noble hops, which are more subdued than like your crazy punchy American hops, but they used a hefty amount of them. I'm not sure if they dry hopped it or not. Didn't say.
Okay.
But I wouldn't rule it out if they did do some dry hopping with noble hops in this particular beer.
So
which is a modern technique in brewing.
Okay.
Dry hopping.
So as your in-house pedal nerd / beer enthusiast, certified pretentious dickhead.
Yeah.
As a person who loves Pilsners, this is, and that it does taste like a Pilsner, but it's not a lager. And it
right.
It's a kind of, to me, in my ignorance, it's almost like a really cool hybrid.
Yeah, this tastes better than a lot of craft Pilsners, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who say, hey, here's our Pils, and I'm like, well, that's not Pils. Or
just stop.
Just go back to the drawing board. Yeah, this is about as Pilsnery as a Belgian beer can get.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. You know, in my professional opinion, which take that for what it is, I don't know if this to me pairs with the pedal as much. It's a great beer, and this is a great pedal. I think I was looking for a little bit more sweetness. I don't want to say butter because that has to do with diacetyl, and I don't really appreciate diacetyl.
Or, yeah, like the compounded beer that can make it taste buttery.
Basically buttery. But this to me, this is a very smooth, silky, warm, buttery kind of pedal, and I don't want like a buttery beer necessarily, but I feel like to me, this doesn't necessarily go.
Sure.
But I can make it go with it.
I mean, I like that it was both dry.
It is.
I appreciate your opinion. I picked it just from the beer standpoint, just because I know that it's a dry sounding, but it makes me wet. Like I was saying earlier, it's like the old school kind of Pilsner feel, but with kind of a modern new take on it, with it being Belgian, and having extra hoppiness, extra layers.
Well, let me try this. I'm just going to play the pedal for a second. You know what? I can see it.
So I heard this pedal. I was like thinking about crushing Pilsners at like a Jimi Hendrix show, in the hot sun.
At Woodstock, 1960.
Whatever, This being like a modern take on that old school sound. I was like, okay, here's a modern beer. It's not a very traditionally brewed beer. It's just kind of a modern take on that old classic. Yeah, 'cause the first time I heard that pedal, it was like Hendrix.
Yeah, and that's even Mr. JHS himself.
Yeah.
Said this is a very much like a Hendrixy sounding pedal. I mean, like you take a like it's that Woodstock freaking Star Spangled Banner sound. Put some fuzz in front of that, and you're good to go.
Yeah. It might not be like the beer that you had in mind.
I'd say it fits. I'd say it fits.
You could say it fits, but just like how it's subjective, both sides of pedals and beer.
I got you. I mean, in all honesty, it to me does fit. It's just not my preferred pairing. I think there's something else that can go with
your
this.
brain was going to.
Yeah, my brain was not going to this, but I can definitely see where you're coming from and totally get it.
Sweet.
All right. Well, that concludes another Electric Pilsnerds, y'all. Comment below, questions, complaints, threats, or bribes. Whatever you want.
Stay pretentious.
Stay pretentious, and let us know what we're doing right and what we're fucking up.
Yeah. Hit the dislike button.
Thumbs down.
Yeah. That's right. There is a thumbs down.
I think it's the only social media format besides Reddit that has like a fuck yourself.
Like get fucked.
Yeah, get fucked icon. So, hey, if you want to
take that thumbs down and just shove it up your ass.
If you want us to get fucked, dislike it and subscribe. If you want us to keep doing this, which we're going to do anyway, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
There will be some links below to both the brewery and this pedal to the makers. So we'll do that every episode. So cheers, y'all, and keep staying thirsty and keep searching that tone.
Indeed.
Cheers.
Search for the tone.